got a three-way dead heat in New Hampshire. Another Republican wants to challenge President Trump. And will socialism be easy to beat in 2020?
Team Rising is here to break it all down. Jonathan Harris is a political commentator. Holly Turner is a Republican strategist. She previously spent a year working as an assistant administrator at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Welcome to you both.
Hey, thanks for having
us.
us.
Great to see you guys.
All right, so we've got this CBS battleground poll. This is everything everybody's talking about here.
Yeah, really interesting.
There's so much to dig into. I think we'll start with the delegates. That's the most fascinating part, which is that Joe Biden is projected to have 600 delegates of all the delegates available on Super Tuesday. Warren at 545, Bernie Sanders 286. That shows that what the delegate math is in the first couple of states. But I think more broadly, Jonathan, it shows that this is a three-way race. Pretty much everybody else is falling to the side. Yeah. What do you think?
Right. I would agree. I think there was a political poll that was saying that voters feel that Biden has a 44% chance of beating Trump, Sanders 17%, and I think it was Warren was 13%. Yeah. So it is a three-way race, but it's still Biden's to lose. And I think that's really kind of the focus, is that it's all the attention is going to be on Biden. It's going to remain on Biden. There have been a lot of gaffes, but that's kind of what Biden does.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still his to lose.
Interestingly, he's been lowering expectations. We were just talking with a New Hampshire journalist in New Hampshire and also Iowa. This poll kind of, Holly, lays out why that could be. Right. New Hampshire, it's a statistical tie between Warren, Biden, and Sanders. Iowa, Biden is up, but within the margin of error over Sanders. And then he's actually down a bit to Sanders in Nevada. So he's dominating in South Carolina, let's be clear. But in the other early states, this is not a lock for him.
It's not. And we've got several months to go before we get to Iowa. And, once those first three states kind of fall into place, South Carolina can change like that.
I think
that's just so important to know.
It is, and it's just... he has got to make a strong showing or it's gone. And it will be interesting to see who falls out between now and then, because we're going to lose a few more contenders. And, are their supporters going to go to Biden? Probably not. A lot of them, we've talked about this before. If you aren't going to support this candidate, who are you going to support? And a lot of them line up behind Bernie and Warren. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
They will very much split the difference. And that's one of the things that we're tracking, Jonathan, right? Which is that, yes, Biden has a lot of African-American support in South Carolina right now. But if Bernie or Warren can win, respectively, Iowa or New Hampshire, really proves their viability as candidates. And you could see his support in South Carolina drop off, just like Hillary Clinton's did in 2008.
Right, and I mean, there is like the poll I was citing, the Politico poll, there is a huge gap between Biden and the next most popular candidate there. So
in terms of who's viewed as electable?
They viewed as beating Trump. It was done in August, and at least who could beat Trump. But it's still... He still does have to. I agree. There's a stronger showing needed, and I think when most of the headlines you're hearing are not about that, but about gaffes that he's made, whether it's poor kids are just as good as white kids, things like that. It's like that's probably just as much responsible.
And losing the first two contests is that's not a good look. There's just no way in order to come out of that. What were some of the other big takeaway, I think, that was from this CBS poll was really just the fact that it's a general story, which is you have Biden dominating amongst African American voters, but then it's really statistical tie on whenever it comes to Hispanic voters, and then amongst white voters, Warren is dominating.
White people are loving Warren.
Yeah, it really is. It really is like the story.
That's really the takeaway
Of the party. Well, what I think is fascinating
about the numbers.
is generally, if you look at the top two, I mean, Sanders kind of falls in as number two across all of those things, and I think it might be one of those stories that the media is really ignoring, which is that in terms of pan-ethnic support, he may not be winning amongst any particular group, but he is holding relatively strong amongst, and that's kind of where you want to be.
Yeah.
Isn't that where you want to be, Jonathan?
I would agree. I would agree. I think that a lot of Biden's support with African Americans, for example, obviously comes from his time serving under President Obama and things like that, and I think he'll be able to hold on to that. But again, I don't mean to repeat myself, but I do think that a lot of it is there are strong candidates from Warren. She's doing a lot of ground support, kind of grassroots, and I think Biden is just kind of, it's like when you have that A at the beginning of class and you just have to hold on to it. I think he's just kind of coasting right now, and I don't know how much longer he'll be able to get away with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the media has many times written off Bernie Sanders, and yet here he is in position to win 3 out of the first 4 states.
I mean, my money's on Bernie at this point.
Why do you say that?
When you just look at the big picture and you step back a little bit and you look at these states that are coming up, the first 4 or 5 states, other candidates dropping out of the race. You're going to have the top three, but Bernie consistently, he's steadily maintaining his position. He's steadily gaining. Warren is still like a little bit unknown. Like she could still say something. She's still got a few issues that may pop up and not be good for her. So I just think he's going to be the one that says.
Interesting.
The thing is for her is that monolith support amongst white voters is really, it's a blessing for her right now in some of these early states, but it's a crutch when you're going into Super Tuesday. What do you think?
Yeah, well, especially Iowa and New Hampshire are very white states. Right. So it's good for those states, right?
Yeah.
And beyond that, it gets trickier.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I think Biden's leading with the delegates. My money's still on Biden, but my money's still on Biden. But yeah, I think it'll help her early on, but I don't know how much of a lasting appeal it has.
Well, another very interesting news item. Former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford has decided he is going to jump in the Republican primary race against Trump. This after his home state of South Carolina decided they're just not going to do a Republican primary, which I didn't even know was a thing you could do, but that's what they're doing. Right? So, Holly, what do you make of this? Look, I don't think anyone thinks Mark Sanford's going to be the next president of the United States, but is he someone who could potentially do some damage to Trump?
Not to Trump, to the Republican. He's done more damage to the Republican Party than Trump ever has or ever will do.
Why do you say that?
He's. I'm not a doctor, but he's got some issues. And his history of lying and this thinking that he is more than what he really is and that people love him. He's got this godlike complex.
It's just a
I was going to say.
I'm like, who are you describing?
Why should the Republican Party of South Carolina put on this expensive primary just so this guy can get an MSNBC contract?
Yeah,
Let's all be honest about what's happening here. Mark Sanford wants to put his name in the news. Once again, he has some weird compulsive thing, which I'm not going to get into here right now. But this is like a God savior type ridiculous complex. He doesn't have a chance in hell. What do you think, John?
I think he's maybe mirroring the president of the United States at the moment. But the thing is, I obviously am not a Republican, but I would say that your party needs that. The Republican Party needs that. It needs somebody to remind the nation that. What he said is pretty accurate in terms of the party. He said, what about our concerns about the debt? What about our concerns about these things that have all gone out the window? Trump raising the debt ceiling, things like that. And I don't think that the Republican Party is that latched to their values, but it probably is helpful for at least somebody to remind the party that they did have these values.
Here's what I would say, though, Holly, and tell me if you think this is wrong. Of the people who have jumped in, Sanford is the most serious and the most capable, the most sort of respected. Put the Appalachian Trail aside, which seems, by the way, it seems incredibly tame compared to what we get out of our president now.
Almost
let's be
on a
honest.
daily basis.
The danger is not that he is going to beat Trump. I don't see that happening. No. But I do think that if you even pull off a few percentage points of enthusiasm of Republican voters who just stay home or decide I'm going to vote third party or whatever, that's a problem.
Nah.
Evan McMullen had a bigger shot than this guy, right?
It's true.
Nothing works.
I honestly, it's fine. Great. Come on, Mark. Let's talk about it. And a lot of Republicans do agree with him on these issues, the fiscal issues. But when was the last time we had a Republican president that actually did follow through on those issues? They've only disappointed us time after time after time. So it's not that the Republican Party has lost away. The Republican Party has a consistent track record of spending and not keeping its promise on that.
True.
So I think it's a valid point, but it's not like you can look back to any other Republican.
There is a long track record of hypocrisy on this issue. On the right, let's be
I agree.
All right,
on the record.
Sit tight. We got more we want to get to with these two just after this.